Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. I have with me Elmer Yuen as always, and I'm catching him between flights. We won't say from where to where. It always shall stay a mystery. Elmer, a couple of questions. First of all, hello and how are you doing?
Fine, fine. Sorry, I had a 15-hour flight before here, so I look a little tired.
No. You are very, very fresh, if you ask me. First question that I have for you, Elmer, is that right now we have conflicting news coming about the Chinese economy. They are saying that, so many containers are coming in, so many containers are going out, bullet trains are running, people are, buying and stuff like that. Every time numbers have been put out, the world has looked at them with some skepticism. Is it really true? So, in your opinion, where are things today in China?
I like to call a spade, where it's a lie. Where it's a lie. The Chinese have been lying for 100 years. And you can check. I mean, all the newspaper who experience it, they know they're lying. Everybody knows they're lying, but because we're professional, we hate to use that word lie.
Right.
Because lying is for criminals. But then these guys are criminals. Criminals lie and a gangster lie. This is normal. But somehow we are under the impression it's a government, it's a legitimate government, and what they announce may be newsworthy. It's not newsworthy. And they understand exactly how the media will react, how Wall Street will react, how the academic will react. They know it exactly. So they lie in a way that the end result will satisfy what originally want you to believe. So we need to understand it's not a piece of news, it's a piece of lie. That is the way, seriously, if we don't overcome this one, then they fool us all the time. Every week they come up with some kind of so-called news. And then we start translating it as this and that and fall right into their traps. You have to have your independent way of estimating how they are doing. So from my way of independent, this news, I do read them, but put them aside. I never spend time analyzing them. The minute you analyze, you fall right into trap. So we have to have independent thinking. Right now, their GDP is minus 20 or even worse. All right? That's the way it is. That's the way I analyze. You don't have to believe me. And I don't use their numbers at all. I use my own source. And then right now, you almost hear no good news. There are a lot of WeChat and TikTok from China. A lot of videos. All right, you usually watch a video. There is no good videos. Everyone is bad. Some kind of trouble, unemployment, people are crying, people are starving, this and that. When you see that, you know it cannot be good. If it's good, somebody will say, this is from the people, not from the government or from the party. So I might estimate easily worse than minus 20% loss in GDP. And I don't want to get caught up into explaining their numbers. Exports up 14%, and then GDP is up 4.5%. It's a whole bunch of lies. They've been doing that for 100 years. And the American always believed it. That's what really happened. It's very good strategy. And they need to lie, and then they need to talk up the numbers. So hopefully there are somebody who will give them a reason to invest in China. They do pay very high interest. And then they use all kinds of ways to get you to invest. Like Jack Ma, they get Jack Ma to go back and invite more people. They get Apple, Tim Cook, and they got Elon Musk to visit China. All these are gimmicks to get people to invest. And as you know, the funds, the institution money in U.S. are not run by very intelligent people. They're average, the school teachers, right? School teacher running the school teachers fund.
Yeah, CalPERS.
Yeah, and then who talked them into it? Wall Street. They're good salesmen. And I do believe there are kickbacks, all right? When these people invest, the guys in charge of investing get kickback. But very hard to prove. And they want to at least give some reason for the people to invest. Of course, they know 95% will not. Even that 5% can add up to a lot, and they are counting on that. The debt in China is so huge, so everybody's worried. Everybody, meaning the central government, the local government, the state companies, the public companies, the private companies, and individuals. Everybody's worry every day when they wake up is how to pay off the debt and the interest, because it's coming up, and the interest is building up faster than what the money profit they make. So as a result, there is nobody spending any money because they need to service their debt, and also there is not going to be any investment in China. So hopefully they're hoping the foreigner, the suckers will come in and invest. And then they gave out these numbers for you to digest. This is exactly what's happening. I'm Chinese. I know how they lie. Okay, all right? We have the same genes. This is the way it is. I know how they think, how they lie. And your country or in the Western, it's different. Of course, American politicians are also very good in lying too, right? Different kind of lying. But I know the Chinese lie. So this is why I'm advising you not even to spend time analyzing it. Please.
So, couple of data points on why you believe what you believe in. One thing that we were talking about was that somebody wants to go buy a house. Now, for the last several years now in China, the ability to be able to know somebody in a bank who will give you the money was the criteria more than how much you could pay as a monthly payment. Now, how much of the real estate in China was bought this way, where because somebody knew somebody who happened to be in the bank and got a loan? What, in your opinion, was like, let's say, is it 50% like that, dodgy loans?
1 year ago, now the situation is dramatically different. 1 year ago, because the price was going up, people can lay their hand on any money and try to buy more, because the more you buy, the overall so-called appreciation is more. So that's the story then. They don't really care about whether they are serviceable or not. They bribe the bank officials into delaying so they don't have to pay their money on time. But now the situation has changed because the price is dropping. Right. Dropping like a rock. Right. So what they have to do is they have to divest. There are people with money. Maybe there are about 4 or 5% of the Chinese do have money. They pay off their loan. They don't want to be indebted. They know if the price is not going up, they want to liquidate and pay off their loans and hold as little as possible. So right now, there is nobody even come and look at the building. Nobody offering any price. You know, it's not that you can sell cheaper and then you get rid of it. Nobody's offering because they want to hold on to their cash. Everybody in China and outside China understand the value of cash. Even in the States right now, nobody's buying property because interest rate keep on going up. They rather hold on to their cash. This is normal, and in China even more. They're holding on to their cash because the situation is so severe. So there is no buying property. Price is dropping. There is no market. Let's put it that way. There's no market. So now property become related to many business, especially in China. Construction material, steel, cement, glass, aluminum, brass, all related to this. Power line, and then this is the building material, paints. Paints is a huge business. And then next you have the, let's say, kitchenware, the whole set of kitchen, whole set of bathroom, whole set of toilet. This is big money involved, you know, like tiles, right? And every mirrors and so on. And about the appliances, every home needs a television and audios, and then Wi-Fi, and then all that stuff, cooking, rice cooker, and then like you said, you know, laundry and everything. Huge amount of business. So we're not talking about a few hundred factories. We're talking about a few hundred industries gone into trouble. No business at all. And then you have furnishing.
What about exports?
Exports is dead. When you can export, all right. Let's say you quote let's say Costco, same price. But then coming from China, you have to pay more import duty. Coming from India, it's the average duty, called the most favored nation duty. But coming from China, you have to over station plus, because remember Donald Trump put on extra duty.
Right.
So why do you want to buy from China? Why do you want to buy from China?
There's a tariff.
And also, they are kind of flying warplanes over Taiwan every day. So what if there's a war? You place an order, let's say Walmart or Costco place an order to China through some middleman. What if suddenly there's a war? And then you open the LC and no goods coming through. What do? You lose that business altogether. So people have to worry about, before you deliver, what happens if there's a disruption like a war or a talk of a war. And with India, there's nothing to worry. Goods will come smoothly, and you sell, you make your profit. But from China, suddenly you may lose, the supply may stop altogether. So nobody a business person will never make such a decision to place a huge order to China. So this is the problem: import duty and the delivery risk of delivery problem, disruption. It's a very serious problem. They're getting no business. The container pile up that you cannot hide. So what happened is they get the ships with empty containers and go around the harbor, try to show people they're shipping something, but it's empty inside. So we get this message from WeChat, from the local people. Oh, they are giving the empty container a tour of the harbor. That's what they're doing. And then they have this call one-day travel, meaning they ship goods to Hong Kong in the morning and ship back in the afternoon. So both the export and the import increases. It's called one-day travel. It's like a one-day sightseeing. So the goods go out to Hong Kong, so everything booked as export, right? And then coming back to China, but as import. This is how they cook up the numbers. They're very good at it. It's become an art already.
So a couple of questions from what you just said. First one is the talk of war against Taiwan. But according to an important source, it's not just Taiwan that China plans on attacking. It might attack India also. Viewers, some of you have been thinking that all that stuff happening on the line of actual control in India is all saber rattling. Think again. There are some things happening now, and Elmer is going to share with us a lot of important information here. Elmer, take it away.
You see, for instance, there's the expert, Mao Yu, used to be the chief assistant to Mike Pompeo, and he was in charge of the China desk. He's saying just yesterday there will be a series of attacks starting from Taiwan. That's what he said. But I don't agree with him fully. I believe there will be multiple attacks. But I believe that if China wants to make a threat, they have to do it all at the same time. So that America was facing with many, many fronts. So the threat will become like a very more urgent than in a series. It will come in parallel. So look at the threat. North Korea is firing rockets all the time. The rocket man is firing rockets to Japan and all that. That's a big threat. And the Russian and China have joint exercise, naval exercise near Japan, North Asia. And then, of course, around Taiwan, they are doing blockading, so-called blockading exercise on the South China Sea, you name it. And then coming down, India, we know both countries have almost 1 million soldiers confronting each other.
True.
Yeah, 1 million soldiers. And then Pakistan, financial trouble. And they are so bad, they are selling ammunition to Russia. Probably China shipped them first. You see, China is very clever. They don't want to be accused of supplying to Russia directly. So they are going via North Korea, they are going through Pakistan, they are going through Iran, and you name it, and the white Belarus. They are very clever. And then they're setting up factories, drone factories, even Turkey, to supply to Russia. So they say, it was not direct shipment. This is the way they hide the COVID virus, right? You have no direct evidence, and it's debatable. And they have their propaganda machine, all right? So you have once you have doubt, you cannot be definite. But they know they want to create doubt, all right? Different opinion. So that it's one. So people don't have a definite conclusion on what's happening. So they're going to start multiple front, as we know. Syria and Iran and so on and so forth, and also dollar de-dollarization is very active right now. Even though they are not going to replace U.S. dollars, but it's a threat. There's no question it's a threat.
Every time you give me an answer, I get more questions for you. Sorry. See, their economy is down in the dumps. What do they gain by opening so many fronts for warring?
You see, this is the communist mentality. They are big gamblers. The more they are down, they will raise higher stake. Like you go to a casino, the losers. If you're a really tough gambler, you gamble big. If you gamble small, you keep on losing, and then you end up with nothing. Right. So while you are desperate, you gamble big. This is what they're doing. The dollar, and then they go to Russia, and obviously everybody knows Russia is losing. How come Xi Jinping go and make such an agreement? It's a huge agreement. He sent his defense minister to Russia. Obviously, there has to be cooperation. They gamble big because he is gaining the entire Russian Federation. Whole Russia is depending on China, both for the war and for the economy, because they're under so many sanctions. So suddenly they gain the whole of Russia as their dependent territory. Can you imagine? You get a colony like Russia. This is exactly what's happening. Russia is hopeless in terms of global finance and everything. They're hopeless. No market, no export, nothing. They are relying almost 80% on China. So that's why you said their stock market is trading with the RMB.
Now, let's talk this thing further. So you say that Russia is becoming more or less a colony of China.
Yes.
But India is actually getting more and more crude from Russia, so much so that now Russia is the #1 exporter of crude to India, right?
We are businessmen. Business is not control. Control you have to rely on. They don't rely on India. They do business with India, but they don't rely on India. They rely on China. They rely on RMB, especially for the military wear to fight the war in Ukraine. They don't rely on you guys. They let you make some money because they need your foreign currency too, or need your support. But it's different from control. You have no control on Russia.
A couple of other questions, and we'll wrap this thing up. This conversation is really going excellent, in my opinion. A couple of other questions. One is this BRICS New Development Bank and BRICS currency. Now, if China is having so much trouble, and then let's say now they are claiming that Saudi Arabia is dealing with them in RMB, that Iran is dealing with them in RMB. Let's set aside Iran for the moment. Saudi Arabia is more of a neutral party. He'll sell to anybody. Why is Saudi Arabia taking yuan for their crude?
Because they don't have a choice. U.S. is not buying oil from them. So they take yuan, and Saudi Arabia is also a huge importer of Chinese goods. I mean, after all, Chinese is the biggest manufacturer of anything in the world. So
True.
Saudi Arabia will have to buy something from China. They buy anyway every year. So they use the RMB to buy from China. And the New Development Bank, and together with China, their policy, how to make yuan or RMB as the global trading currency. Whoever they are constantly, every year they're importing, let's say the OPEC nation, they have oil, right? So if you want to sell to China, China is willing to pay you 1 year upfront in RMB for your oil.
Advance payment.
Advance payment, 1 year upfront. So what do you do with that money? You buy Chinese goods. If you go to China to buy, suddenly the economy start working. Then you're going to talk about real growth when you're buying. So they give you a loan, basically give you an advance payment of RMB, and then they activate the entire business because it's way down. Suddenly the demand increase, global demand increase. This is the way it works. People are greedy. When you give money up front, they don't like to spend it. And China still has the biggest manufacturer in the world for goods. Right? And pretty good goods, for USA the quality may not be the best, but for lots of countries, The quality is good enough. Electronics, television is great. All that stuff. Furniture, Chinese furniture is very up to date. Kitchenware, toiletware, very, very good. So they're buying big numbers. So if they buy, then China's economy will recover. That's what they're counting on. So don't look at them as they are very clever in a way. Otherwise, so they wouldn't become. They're not really number 2 in the world, but they are almost there in terms of economy. They're very strong. So they have solutions. They are not just sitting there waiting to get poor. They have their solutions.
Now, what is the United States doing about it? First of all, they have turned away from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They believe that they can source the oil for the Western Europe, not just themselves, but also for the Western Europe. And they have been draining their strategic petroleum reserves. They are down by 2/3. They only got 1/3 left. So US is draining itself. US sees that China has 30-year natural oil gas deal with Qatar, 30 years. And what you said, perhaps the same kind of advance payments. So they have lock on that market. They are now trying to get a lock on Saudi Arabia's petrol. What is the United States doing?
U.S., to be honest with you, has no policy against China. They only react. All right, they react to a little. Even the chip control, they are trying to limit the chip, full of holes. That's why China is still getting all the Intel chip. The Intel chairman was in China last week. Intel, of course, we know they are the third one in the GPU.
Yes.
All right, and they are not so sellable. They're hoping that they can sell more GPU to China to save their neck. The Intel, the GPU is the business of the future. So it's again full of holes. So China buying a lot of chips, Hong Kong buying a lot of chips, and transship to Russia for their weapon. How come everybody? Even if I know, the CIA knows. Who am I to inform? They know everything, but let it happen. There's no policy. They're full of holes. So many. They are not really determined to fight China. The only fortunate thing is U.S. military is 20, 30 years ahead of China, and also their financial, so-called capital market is maybe also 30, 40 years ahead of China. This is their strength. Otherwise, it has no policy. Right now, the whole Biden family lives on China. I mean, they got $30 million in the last 10 years. They've been spending that money. That's good enough to keep them another 10 years.
Viewers, a lot of stuff being shared. As always, Elmer is very candid with what he says. And, many of you may ask, where is the proof? Well, the proof is in the fact that the lie continues and the United States appears to do not much about it. And I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen about Hunter Biden's, all the different corruption cases. Now, there's a bigger problem. Outside of all this stuff, there's an even bigger problem, and that is of fentanyl drugs getting into the United States from Mexico. I'm also hearing that a lot of Chinese communists, mostly men, are being pushed through Mexico into the United States.
Few hundred a day. You see, right now there are a few thousand a day coming through the Mexican border. Out of them, at least 10% are Chinese. And I would say half of them are spies. Half of them are real immigrants. They have to go all the way to Central or South America, take a boat up to Mexico, and then get detained for about 3-4 weeks. And when they release, they would walk up to the border. Cost them about $20,000-$30,000 US per person to pay the smugglers.
Yeah.
And this is, of course, horrible. I don't know what. Again, no policy. U.S. have no policy for the southern border. And the fentanyl is such low-cost drug, yet powerful. So this is really replacing all the other drugs. No need heroin. No need the other pills. No need. This can make into so many versions and so many packagings. So this is a huge profit to the Mexican government officials, and then to the drug cartel, and also U.S. lot of corporations are involved. They say the profit coming from this drug is far more even than the oil company. Talking about tens of billions of dollars a year of profit, and it's not stoppable because there's so much money involved. So over 100,000 people are dying every year. It's very serious. It's like going to war. You lose a war every year, and this is you tell me what kind of policy this country has.
There's only one Republican presidential candidate who's been talking about fentanyl and the need for the United States military to start policing its border vis-a-vis Mexico. Nobody else is even talking about it, unfortunately, at least at this point of time. And we are just trying to create some awareness that this is a clear and present danger. Some silver lining in the cloud. I don't want to be all doom today.
Silver lining is the Chinese economy is really tanking. It's tanking, and then the Wall Street people are not stupid. They can see through it. If I can see through it, they can see through it. So they are really withholding the money and also withdrawing their investment. So the U.S. dollar currency investment is depleting. China's depleting, and also China, the communists don't know how to solve a financial crisis within China. In RMB, they don't know how to solve it because it's building up. The interest rate and the penalty is building up faster than corporation making money to cover those debts. So they don't know. It's getting worse. They don't know what to do because communists always by order. They never have to. They don't have people like Hank Paulson or these Wall Street people. They don't have such people. They only know how to copy, but they don't know how to get out of this bind. So this is the real good news. It may even happen within this year, some kind of economic collapse, financial collapse.
You have a knack of predicting what my next question is going to be. You've already answered that within a few months. The most important thing here is China is a big country. It's a big economy. Even though we are saying for the last 12 months now, I think we've been knowing each other for 12 months, we've been saying that China has a lot of problems. Yet, on the surface, it's not visible. However, one of the problems that people of Hong Kong are facing, last question, sir, last question. One of the problems that people of Hong Kong are facing is they went and bought a lot of property in mainland China. Now, Hong Kong has also become like China and they want to leave, but they cannot. What kind of a problem do you think the Hong Kong Chinese are up to now? How do they find their way out?
I know some very rich lady with rich husband, right, from Hong Kong, all right? So they go to the bank, like Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, and use their husband's personal guarantee, borrow a lot of money, a lot of Hong Kong dollars, and went to China and buying blocks and blocks of apartment buildings. I mean, talking about 5 years ago, 5 to 10 years ago, they bought a lot. Of course, now they got caught in this bind. So what do? Even if you sell, you end up in RMB. All right, they sell. They try their best to sell because their husband is being locked up by Hong Kong banks. Hong Kong banks said, I want your Rolls Royce. Seriously, they get impounded by their property. So what happened? This is not a joke. A lot of rich wives. All right. So what happened is they sell and they get RMB. So they get the smugglers to smuggle the RMB into Hong Kong. And as you know, RMB is only in 100 yuan per note. The highest is 100 yuan. So they're talking about huge containers of cash coming to Hong Kong. Say, go to Shanghai, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. They say, this is all I have. You better take care of it. Even though I know this is RMB, but I'm repaying you better than nothing. So the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank has to find a way to digest the RMB. There is a small market in Hong Kong for RMB, to trade RMB. So they are trying to slowly digest it. It's a disaster. And all these property people or rich Hong Kong Chinese are in very big trouble. The biggest, of course, are the property developer. And you cannot take the property away.
Yes.
So their 75% of their money is locked up in property. It's very serious.
Well, we've had a very revealing interview, if you will, with Elmer. Elmer, safe travels, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. P Gurus is eternally grateful to you.
No, don't. Their economy, your economy is growing nicely, slowly, nicely. But let's say you are growing, let's say I would say 6-7%. My guess, all right?
Right.
I can guess very well. I don't need those statistics. China is dropping like 20%. I can assure you. And they never had a healthy economy because everything is based on debt. The whole country was built on debt. The prosperity was built on debt. And when debt becomes due, I mean, Indian people understand what that is. You have loan sharks, right? That's what they are facing now.
Thank you so much, Elmer. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications.